What's going on, everybody? LK here, and today I want to talk about something that's pretty important to Guilty Gear, especially this version of Guilty Gear. It would be how to deal with the opponent's disjointed normals. What is a disjointed normal? First, so you may have heard this term floating around. If you played previous fighting games or you're from Smash, you might probably know this term in one way or another. So a disjointed move is a move that has no hurtbox on its hitbox. So to put this in perspective, here above me, I have Milia's JS. So this is what most moves in Guilty Gear Strive look like right now. If you're a long-time Guilty Gear player, this actually is something you kind of just have to get over because the hitboxes in previous versions of Guilty Gear are just better than this version. So the red boxes are hitboxes. These are where the attack is actually connecting. Now that blue box is actually like a counter hit hurt box. So if you get hit there, you're going to get counter hit. You don't see it on this move, but there's also a green box that can happen, which is just a hurt box you can hit. So it's a place you can get hit, but you're not going to get counter hit if you get hit there. And the yellow box that you see there is where you can be thrown. Now compare that to this. This is Soul's 6S disjointed move. As you can see at the edge of it, there's no blue or green. It's just red. So if you play previous Guilty Gears, you're familiar with moves like this. There are many moves like this in the previous GG games that you just have to learn how to deal with in various ways. But in Strive, having a move like this is pretty privileged. Okay, so now that we know how to picture the hitboxes and hurtboxes, we can start planning on what to do. So step one is actually just knowing what moves your opponent has that's disjointed and how much does it actually affect the match. I use Soul 6S as an example here, and honestly on the thumbnail because it's one of the most well-known disjointed normals in the game. It's very big, it covers a lot of space, it has a high attack level, so even though he can't cancel it into other normals, it is 6S, he does have pretty good cancel options. First, we look at the hitbox even closer. So where is this move actually hitting and where is this move vulnerable? So Soul is vulnerable in basically two spots, above his head and his feet. So let's take a look at the move. So here it is, it's 6S. Of course, as you saw, if I challenge it with mostly anything, I'm going to get hit. It is disjointed, I can't get over there. So I would have to make a concerted effort to either aim for his legs here or get above him somehow. Now, for this move in particular, it's a pretty long total duration move actually. So compare it to this, right? / everyone knows about this move. So this move is a very fast total duration. That means from the start to the end when he recovers is really fast. It's why you see people do this. Now 6S that we're talking about right now, the total duration as you can see is much longer. It's 41 frames total duration, right? So he's going to be in that spot taking that hitbox out for 41 frames, that's almost an entire second. So one thing we could plan against this move is to try to get into a spot where I can hit it or get out of the way. So in Soul's case, it will be attacking the startup. It is 15 frame startup, so it's not a fast move by any means. As far as startup, I can aim basically anywhere and hit him. You can also use moves like 5P to hit that extended kind of vulnerable hitbox at the top while he's swinging forward. And then of course, if I'm mobile enough, I could aim to jump over it and he is stuck there for a while. You definitely have to build this out by character. The way you think about these moves are going to be a little bit different depending on who you play, but the general theme is going to be you're going to be aiming for the startups of the moves because usually these moves are not too fast, or if the moves seem fast, then they probably have long total duration, so if they whip them, you could do something to hit them after. So here we got another one. We got Mei's 2S. Mei's / and 2/ are both disjointed, and you need to know where they hit, or else you're just going to run into moves you don't have to. Now you can see here that Mei's feet are vulnerable technically, but it's pretty hard to think of a move that could reach down there. But her head and above the anchor are a little bit vulnerable here. So we look at 2S. So 2S is a shorter total duration than Soul 6S for sure. It's 31 frames total. If you want to see this type of data, you have to go to the dustloop.com wiki. That's where I'm getting all these numbers from. Now again, this is a move I can't really interact with hitbox versus hitbox directly because Milia has no disjointed normals and this move is, so I can't attack it. But we can take what we know about her feet and head being a little bit vulnerable to do a couple things after the move happens. So for example, I could use S-Disc. I'm using a projectile, so Milia has no hurtbox there, so I'm just hitting it. Alternatively, I can whiff punish it because her hurtbox is still going to be lingering after the disjoint is over. She is in recovery for 15 frames. Similar to Soul, the total duration is kind of long too, so you can go over this move. When you're trying to control space preemptively, you could use this. So for our last example, we have Ramaphosa. So we have Ramaphosa Far Slash. Now this one's pretty well known. When the game was coming out, people were like, oh, she's broken, her slash and jump slash are disjointed, her heavy slash and air heavy slash is also disjointed, so she can just swing. Similarly to the other moves we've looked at, her legs are vulnerable, but it's not that likely you're going to hit that, and then her head, basically her whole upper body, is vulnerable. So in game, it looks like this. So this one's actually close to Soul 6S. This is 38 frames total duration. So again, similar strategies apply. So you can aim for straight up whiff punching it. It does have a very long recovery time. It's 21 frames recovery. If you have an upper body invincible move, you can use that. Since this move specifically hits above the waist, you can go over it like we discussed before, but this is a little bit preemptive. And in the case of this move, again, since it hits around the upper body, you can do stuff that's upper body invincible to it, and you can get through it. So, all in all, the main ways you're dealing with this is you're either going over these moves to punish the recovery, you're doing something of your own that has invincibility to interact with it, like the Far Slash using 6P, or you're trying to whiff punish it. These moves all have to be dealt with in a case-by-case basis because they hit in different spots and they have different usages. The biggest thing to remember about this too is that for the most part, they're not going to be using moves like Ram's Far Slash to straight up try to punish you. They're generally going to use these moves preemptively because if they space it correctly, it's hard to deal with. There's no hurt box for you to aim for. So keep that in mind when you're planning against these moves. I want to say basically every disjointed move in the game has some type of weakness because you're basically trying to use these moves, for the most part, preemptively. You might be like, for my Amelia players who are watching, kind of sucks that Amelia doesn't have any disjoints, right? But between her being super mobile, so she can get around these moves without too much problem, don't forget that in the case of a lot of these that hit at the waist or higher, you can roll through them. And she does have this that's disjointed, but it is really punchable, so be careful, be careful, be careful. That's it for today though. As usual, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.